Completely burnt out, I decided to take a break from school and travel. I withdrew from the national painting competition, but someone seemed even more anxious than I was. My boyfriend's white moonlight frantically contacted me, trying to get me to pick up a paintbrush again. Right now I was thousands of miles away, enjoying myself, exploring the tide pools and snorkeling. In my previous life, the artwork I had painstakingly created was reported for plagiarism. A mountain of evidence was revealed, and the internet went into a frenzy. Explanations were useless. The cyberbullying escalated into personal attacks. Extremist netizens even threw Molotov cocktails at my house. My parents died in the fire and I developed depression because of it. In the end, I slit my wrists and died in a cold bathtub. Then I opened my eyes and was back a week before the competition. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn. You're definitely going to win first place in this competition. The familiar voice reached my ears, and I abruptly opened my eyes. I knew this line too well. I would never forget it. Overconfidence wasn't a good thing, just like my previous self. Looking at the date on my phone, my eyes started to sting. The people around me were looking at me with admiration, giving me thumbs up and praising me. As expected of Salt and Pepper, the internet sensation. With you entering, our school is guaranteed to win glory again. A national level competition, your work will definitely be first place. I'm already looking forward to it. Salt and Pepper was my pen name. A few classmates who were close to me knew it. I had posted quite a few illustrations online and a lot of people liked them. I had taken on many commercial commissions. An editor had already contacted me, and soon I would publish my first art book. While I was lost in thought, someone patted my shoulder. My teacher appeared behind me, his face full of approval. I have confidence in you for this competition. I've seen your work and for you it's an outstanding performance. We're all waiting for you to take first place in this competition. The hand on my shoulder made my heart sink. It felt like a knife was stabbing me, the pain was agonizing. Unfortunately, in my previous life I didn't get any awards, just the opposite. I was forced to withdraw, publicly accused of plagiarism, and my online accounts were flooded with insults. My teacher and classmates were also cyberbullied for speaking up for me. Eventually, when the numerous pieces of so-called evidence of plagiarism were revealed, the teacher was implicated and forced to resign. Thinking about this, the feeling of being soaked in cold water made my limbs stiff. I also recalled the insults, every single word dripping with malice. Copycat. A copycat for several years. You got famous by sucking other people's blood. You should just die. No one would even want to buy your body. You ugly copycat. Your real identity has already been exposed. Just wait for your retribution. You got caught plagiarizing. This day has come. How does it feel? Do you want to get on your knees and apologize? Haha, too late. You people are just trash. Everyone associated with you is trash too. My breathing became rapid, and my fingernails dug into my palms. The pain brought me back to reality, reminding me of another person. My boyfriend Ryan had a sister he constantly talked about. They weren't related by blood, but they were very close. Her mother was a renowned artist, and her father was a university professor. Sophia could be considered a school prodigy. No one in this year's class could compare to her starting point. Someone like her shouldn't have crossed paths with me at all, but in my previous life, she was the one who presented all the evidence of my plagiarism, completely nailing me to the cross of shame. But those illustrations and designs were clearly my original work, drawn stroke by stroke at my computer for countless nights. How could they be plagiarism? I didn't believe it. I looked at the evidence again and again, and when I saw the evidence, I was stunned. They were identical. Whether it was the creation time or the content, almost all the paintings were identical, except for changes in color and details. Some were even completed earlier than mine. How was this possible? Someone else completed my own drawings earlier than I did. Faced with the compelling evidence, I turned pale. I couldn't understand why my works were in someone else's hands, the ones I'd posted and those I hadn't. My heart raced. Looking at the half-finished painting in front of me, I deleted it with a trembling hand. Looking around, I didn't feel safe, so I simply turned off the computer. Since this painting was plagiarized, I might as well change my style, change the way I express myself and draw something different. This time there shouldn't be any problems. There were many things I couldn't understand. Ryan was always overly affectionate with Sophia. He told me not to overthink it, that she was a girl who was like a little sister to him since childhood. It wasn't that I didn't have doubts, whether it was their attitudes or the fact that Sophia reported me. But I checked Ryan's phone and computer. Apart from occasional chats, there was nothing unusual. Only sometimes, he would tell his friends that he wanted me to learn from Sophia. If only Ashley had half the charm of Sophia. The longer I spend time with her, the more she seems like a guy. He complained that I didn't have charm, and told me to learn from Sophia. We had a big fight, but he said he was doing it for my own good, giving me advice. In my previous life, I didn't even have time to break up with him before the cyberbullying began. I didn't even have the chance to break up. But now I see things clearly. In this new life, I know what's most important. Looking at the photos of my parents in my phone's gallery, I couldn't help my eyes from welling up. I had prepared for this competition for months. I couldn't give up just like that. At the very least, I had to try again. I glanced at the computer, took a deep breath and simply turned around and found my roommate. Sarah, can I borrow your computer for a bit? I had a habit of drawing sketches by hand. The feeling of sketching ideas on paper was different from creating them on the computer. After checking the sketch again, I decisively tore up the work I had prepared for a month. Starting over, I wouldn't let others steal my hard work again. Ashley, why did you tear these up? You were almost halfway done. Aren't you afraid of being late for the competition? You're going to start over now, are you crazy? My roommate's eyes widened when she saw the torn remains of the drawings in the trash can. Hearing her say she was afraid that I would be late, I smiled slightly and straightened up a bit. I wanted to be late. There was only a week left before the competition. The later I started planning, the less time I had to modify it. At the same time, there was a lower risk of others plagiarizing it. I could first see what kind of rumors Sophia was spreading, and if there were no abnormalities, I could start again. I loved drawing, from hand-drawn to digital, and now, participating in competitions, I had been persistent for decades. Since elementary and middle school, I had studied art. This point, this year's biggest national competition, I had to try and get good results. This would be an important stepping stone for my future in art. My art book would also be published next month. Having my works loved by more people, and publishing them in an art book was my dream when I first started with art. Now that the dream was about to come true, I couldn't let it be destroyed again. To avoid any similarity with Sophia's work, I waited 3 more days. When I saw her work blurred out on social media, I couldn't help but glance at it. Scrolling down to another picture, I froze. She was sitting next to her famous artist's mother. Behind them was a bouquet of flowers. They were smiling brightly at the camera. She was wearing a low-cut dress that showed off her great figure. The caption was interesting and made me raise an eyebrow. My mother saw my work, and I'm sure I can get good results. Thank you, Ryan, for the flowers. With your encouragement, I'm sure I can win first place. After reading it, I didn't say anything and simply liked it. The comments section was full of praises, saying she was a beauty, a real siren. Sophia, you're so hot. Beauty and talent coexist. This is a real alpha female story. Sophia is definitely the first place winner in this competition. I'm already looking forward to it. Sophia grew up with art from a young age. She'll definitely win first place. But there are also many talented people in our school for this competition. Ashley has won a lot of awards this time. But Sophia is definitely better than Ashley. Even a famous artist said she would win first place. Yeah, I'm so excited. When I put down my phone, I took a deep breath, picked up my pen and started a new sketch on the blank paper. But what I didn't expect was that on that very night, after I had finished drawing the new sketch on my computer, Sophia posted online, saying that she had been plagiarized and had no choice but to prepare a new work. I'm sorry everyone, due to some reason I have to start over again. But don't worry, I will work harder to create new work. The plagiarizer is a classmate of mine, and I can't reveal too much. She didn't reveal anything, but she said everything. Seeing this, I was completely dumbfounded. This scene was very similar to what happened in my previous life. Except it happened a week earlier. My heart sank. With my experience in my previous life, I couldn't help but be vigilant. Looking at the sketch I had just drawn on the screen, I couldn't help but feel a chill. Soon Sophia also updated her latest progress. Thank you for your concern. The latest progress. The line work is now complete. Could there really be such a coincidence in this world? Looking at my original work on the screen, I remembered how Sophia had tearfully denounced me in my previous life, saying on the internet that I had plagiarized her multiple times, and had even contacted her privately to threaten her to keep quiet. I really couldn't help it. She threatened me with death and said she would harm my parents. She and Ryan appeared in front of the camera. Her tearful beauty instantly evoked pity from the crowd. It wasn't just evidence. She also called her parents to do an evaluation. She put my work next to her work on the internet for comparison. The massive live broadcast instantly drew the attention of many netizens. I didn't expect that the bitch was so famous, but she got it by stepping over others. Oh, poor kind-hearted Sophia, she was actually forced to this point. Only now did she dare expose her. How dare that bitch? Sophia is so good, and she's threatened by this kind of person. This kind of person should just die. Sophia, don't be kind. She will get her retribution. This kind of person should suffer a bit. If something is going to happen, it should happen to her. It's best if her parents go to hell together. I didn't understand why things turned out this way. Why did Sophia make up a story and throw dirt on me? I tried desperately to clarify things and tried to report it to the police to prove my innocence. But faced with the strong evidence and the insults that didn't mention a specific name, the police said they couldn't do anything. During the worst of the cyberbullying, Sophia won first place in the competition. On the day that the photo of her holding the trophy appeared online, I went to see her in person. But before I could even meet her, the security guards at the entrance of her neighborhood drove me away. The photo of me appearing near Sophia's house was uploaded to the internet by netizens, and everyone speculated that I was going to get revenge. Sophia only posted 4 words. I'm so scared. But with just those 4 words, my home address and all my personal information were exposed online. Extremist netizens came to my door, voted to give me a lesson, and threw Molotov cocktails at my house after lighting them. My parents were innocent. After the fire was put out, I saw one handprint after another on the wall. Thinking about this, hatred surged in my heart, and I clenched my fist. I had to find out what happened. While I was deep in thought, 2 people passed by me, and their conversation started. Oh my God, Sophia is starting to draw again, how sad. I heard that her current style is different from before. She's expressing herself in a different way. That plagiarizer is so shameless. Did she have her eyes on Sophia? There are only 3 days left. Starting over now, everyone will be too late, but if it's Sophia, maybe. Hearing this, I felt like I was hit on the head with a club. My eyes widened and I couldn't come back to my senses for a long time. I took out my phone trembling and saw a message from a classmate. The tone of her message was probing, and it couldn't hide her suspicion. Ashley, did you plagiarize someone? I took a look at Sophia's new work today, and it's completely the same as yours. Ashley, tell me the truth. At that moment I stood there like a bolt of lightning had struck me. My manuscript had been copied again. My heart was pounding like a drum. I stood there and my back was cold. The memories of being insulted and bullied in my past life rushed at me, and I wanted to escape subconsciously. I couldn't figure out what went wrong. I had checked my computer and dorm room, and there was no abnormality at all. My new drawing was only a rough sketch, and I had not even thought about the color scheme yet. In just one day, Sophia had already surpassed my progress. Seeing that she had posted a pinned message saying that she would be finished tonight, I suddenly felt powerless. Everyone would lean towards whoever was more pitiful. Compared to me, with my ordinary family background, Sophia had a better family background and was prettier. No one would believe that someone like her would plagiarize me. With her starting point, she would only be 1,000 times better than me. But it was someone like this who copied my ideas and all my work clean, and then framed me. Even though I tried my best to avoid it, what I didn't want to see happened again. In the comments section of Sophia's latest progress update, someone suddenly commented, pushing the post directly to the forefront. Everyone, I think I know who's plagiarizing Sophia. Here's a scary thing. It seems like she's still copying and her progress is exactly the same as Sophia's. As soon as these two comments came out, everyone else was blown away, even without Sophia's reply. My hand shook and my phone fell to the ground. My heart skipped a beat. When I picked up my phone, a new message came from the other side. Sophia replied to the comment that had been pushed up to the top. Thank you everyone for caring about me. I believe that the plagiarizer will see this post and will definitely not dare to do it again. There are not many days left before the competition. I will update my progress at all times, release the latest progress of my work, and welcome everyone to join the discussion. I'll bring you to the competition virtually. I glanced at the picture she posted, and I froze when I saw the lines that were exposed at the edge. I hurriedly rushed back to the dorm room. It was empty and I could only hear my own breathing. Gasping for breath, I quickly opened my computer and carefully compared everything. A few minutes later, I felt a chill, and the hairs on my body stood on end. It was exactly the same. Whether it was the sketch or the details, the similarity was about 80%. This was not just a problem of plagiarism, it was simply the same drawing. But this was only a sketch that I'd drawn less than 24 hours ago. To avoid being plagiarized again, I had torn up the paper sketch, and the computer had been checked beforehand, and there weren't any viruses. I didn't even use my own computer. I sat on my chair like I was falling into an ice pit, and felt like I couldn't breathe. Was there anything that I had missed? But I hadn't met with Ryan or seen Sophia in the past few days. When I was drawing, my roommate wasn't there. It could be said that no one had seen this drawing except for me. An hour later, I came back to my senses, and reached for the computer with a trembling hand. I didn't know how long I had been sitting in front of the computer. When the outside sky turned dark and my roommate pushed the door open, I put down my hand. Oh my God, Ashley. How long have you been sitting in the dorm room? You haven't been drawing all the time, have you? Have you eaten dinner? An exclamation came from behind me. The moment the computer screen went dark, a feeling of hunger rushed up. Looking at my phone, I realized I'd been sitting in front of the computer for 7 hours. I smiled at my roommate. After checking the computer again, I finally felt at ease and went out to have dinner. But just as I put my heart at ease and rapidly completed my new work, just as I was about to eat, my phone rang. Sophia's progress had been updated. She was standing in front of the computer, smiling and making a peace sign. The digital clock on the screen showed the time. Seeing the content she had posted, the spoon in my hand dropped back into the soup. At the same time, a familiar voice came from above. Ashley, you're here for food too? Let's eat together. My phone screen was still lit. The person who had posted that was now smiling in front of me, with her hands behind her back, looking innocent. Her eyes looked at me as if she could see through my thoughts. Her makeup was exquisite. Sophia's hands were empty. Behind her, Ryan was holding a phone and a women's purse. When he looked up, our eyes met. I was the first to lower my head, looking at the words on the screen, and completely lost my voice. Sophia had also finished her drawing. She completed her work half an hour earlier than I did. Ryan has been very busy lately. Today is a rare day he is free. Ashley, you're not mad, right? Pretending to be flustered as she snatched the bag from Ryan's hand, Sophia spoke carefully. Before I could say anything, the man who was staring at her spoke, his tone nonchalant. What are you saying, Sophia? How can Ashley be mad at you? What right does she have to be mad at you? She's not like you. She doesn't understand any of this. I couldn't help but clench my fist, suppressing the confusion in my heart. I pretended not to know anything and invited them to sit down together. Do you want to eat something? A gaze fell on me and Sophia covered her mouth and smiled. I just want to have a sip of water, I'm too fat. Girls like me are all about beauty. Her hand swept over her slender waist, and Ryan's eyes were drawn to her. Seeing that I didn't care, he shamelessly looked at her several times. He even said to her face that Sophia was perfect and looked the best. Enjoying the praise and loving gazes, Sophia intentionally asked about my entry. A hint of triumph flashed in her eyes. I haven't gone out all day today. I've been staying up for several nights preparing for the competition. She pointed to the dark circles under her eyes that didn't exist. When she asked me about it, my heart sank. After a few seconds, I opened my mouth. I don't think it's perfect enough. I'm going to adjust the details. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it well. I still need to make some modifications. Sophia's expression didn't change, she nodded. She didn't look like she was doing anything abnormal. There were only 3 of us at the table. Not long after we sat down, someone came up, looking excited. Are you Sophia? You're so beautiful. You're much prettier than your pictures. We saw what happened online. We support you. You must expose the copycat. If you need anything, you can come to us for help at any time. If a goddess is in trouble, we will definitely step up. Several big boys had flushed faces. Sophia straightened her chest and smiled at them. Oh, with your support, I will definitely work hard. Let's all work hard together. Maybe the person who plagiarized had some difficulties. Her words were sincere, but I knew she was a wolf in sheep's clothing and would never let me go. The atmosphere at the table was a little strange. Ryan's face was flushed red when he saw those boys who went up to talk to her. Seeing Sophia smiling at other men, he couldn't sit still and snorted coldly. Sophia wants help. It's not your turn to interfere, I'm enough. Don't think I don't know what you guys are thinking. The atmosphere was a bit awkward, but a female voice suddenly broke the silence from behind us. If you didn't say that, I'd almost thought you were Sophia's boyfriend. Too bad, you have a girlfriend, and she looks average, all ashen-faced. Oh, you're next to Sophia. Who knows if you have good intentions? Oh yeah, your girlfriend, isn't she the famous drawing master from our school? She's also participating in the competition. Who knows if you stole our Sophia's design for your girlfriend? Sophia is so beautiful and kind. She's completely different from your girlfriend who has been scrambling and mixing in the mud. Our Sophia grew up with art from childhood. I only believe one thing. You become what's in your heart. I heard people say, as soon as the news that Sophia was plagiarized came out, she was busy changing her manuscript. I won't say it directly, everyone gets it. If she had nothing to hide, why would she be so busy changing the work she'd already prepared? The tall girl who had come in with the boys crossed her arms and looked at me with disdain. She lifted her nostrils towards me, and her face was full of disdain. She was beautiful, I was ugly. She was kind, I was evil. Word had already spread online that my work was very similar to Sophia's. Although it was my name's initials, anyone could easily guess who it was. A group of people was basically saying it out loud. Sophia proudly raised her head, basking in the praise, looking at me with thinly veiled malice in her eyes. Ryan told me to leave quickly, not to stay and add fuel to the fire. But I knew that once I left, it would look like I was guilty and afraid to face the situation. At this point, I couldn't run away anymore. Summoning my courage, I avoided Ryan's hand that was trying to push me away and spoke to Sophia, my voice trembling. Sophia, I want to see your entry. A cup of water was thrown at my head. The girl who had been sitting next to Sophia jumped up and splashed me with a cup of ice water, her face full of anger. You bitch, in your dreams. My head and body were soaked and I was a mess. There was laughter from other tables enjoying the show. Sophia covered her mouth, not sure if she was surprised or laughing. After the girl finished yelling, the corners of her red lips turned up. Okay, I believe you, Ashley. Seemingly confused, several people stood up to offer advice. But Sophia was completely calm. She opened her laptop for me to see and even wiped away the water on me in front of everyone, putting on a show of intimacy. Ashley wouldn't plagiarize me. We're very close. A chorus of disgusted voices arose, looking at me with disdain as I buried my head in front of the screen. Maybe someone saw it with their own eyes. Sophia, you're so naive. It's the people you know who are the best at doing these things. You can never see what someone is really thinking. I looked at the screen in disbelief. How could this be possible? Why did Sophia's ideas always match mine no matter what I did? The moment I saw the image, I felt a shiver run down my spine. It was too similar. 80% overlapped. Apart from a few details, the overall concept was almost the same as mine. Most importantly, I glanced at the time. She had finished it an hour before me. Cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I was speechless. Sophia put her hand on my shoulder, smiling and asking me how it was. How was it? Meeting her gaze, my fingernails dug into my palms. I was in a daze. After a few seconds, I shifted my gaze aside and resolutely opened my mouth. It's not good at all. This picture has many flaws. Clang! As soon as I finished speaking, the person across the table stood up, knocking over their water glass in a panic. Sophia looked startled, her brow furrowed as she looked at me, and she asked hesitantly, "What? Ashley, what do you think is wrong? Can you give me some advice?" The surrounding voices became noisy, and curses filled my ears. As soon as my words left my mouth, people were trying to persuade her. "Sophia, she's the one who plagiarized you. Her intentions are as clear as day. How can she be so shameless? What are you talking nonsense, you copycat? Mind your own business. Don't comment if you don't know." Many people were indignant. Sophia still didn't get my answer. I stood up and left, ignoring the curses. The moment I returned to the dorm, my suppressed emotions exploded. Looking at the desk and cabinets in the dorm that had obviously been searched, I covered my face. The shredded drafts in the trash can were gone. I opened my phone and my inbox had been flooded. Some righteous heroes had broken into the dorm to look for evidence. They had found the fragments I'd thrown in the trash, pieced together the sketches with clear tape, and posted my hand-drawn sketch online. The evidence that I plagiarized Sophia was conclusive. I don't know when she stole a glance at Sophia's manuscript. Sophia said she finished this sketch the day before yesterday. She must have seen it these past 2 days. Today, she hid in the dorm and secretly plagiarized Sophia's work. It's disgusting. No wonder she didn't go out. I live in the dorm next door. I heard that she stayed in her room all day. It's disgusting. Sophia, you should go and settle the score with her. I didn't even need to open my messages. I knew what they would say. Looking at my phone, I laughed and tears squeezed out. I felt powerless. Fear and doubt mingled in my heart. I took a deep breath and recalled the uncontrollable temper I had after my depression in my previous life. Couldn't help but sigh. I had thought that if I were to do it all over, the outcome would be different. But no matter how much I struggled, I would end up back where I started. Looking at the artwork on the computer, I quietly put on my glasses. After a long time, I lowered my hands and rubbed my eyes wearily. When my roommate came back to the dorm with late-night snacks, she quieted down when she saw me and avoided eye contact. "Ashley, we heard that you. Although we believe you, the evidence online, Her voice suddenly faded. The eyes of all 3 roommates were fixed on the computer screen behind me. After seeing the image, they were stunned for a moment, and then they exclaimed in amazement. "Oh my God, Ashley, this one. It's amazing. How could you plagiarize? If you submit this one, it will definitely." I watched them marvel at the computer screen, and then I calmly closed it and shook my head. "No, I've decided to withdraw from the competition. I'm giving up on the competition." The dorm was dead silent. My roommates surrounded me looking confused. "Ashley, you have the ability, why? Just because of the rumors online, you don't have to." I pulled out my luggage and started packing silently. Hearing their words, my heart was filled with mixed feelings. But this time, I firmly shook my head in refusal. I've thought it through. The competition isn't the most important thing. This competition has seriously affected my daily life. I want to give up. The anxiety I had been feeling for a while disappeared at that moment. The moment I decided to give up the competition, I breathed a sigh of relief. But my body was unusually tired. I called my advisor. This time I decided to take a break for myself. I would give myself a month to rest well and spend time with my parents. As for Sophia, on the high-speed train home, I looked at her post and couldn't help but lose myself in thought. I've already successfully entered the competition. My previous work was a bit flawed, but I've already finished making the changes. Everyone, wait for my good news. I smiled when I saw what she wrote. The familiar house made my eyes sting. I desperately lifted my head, not wanting my parents to see that anything was wrong. "Our little girl is back. You didn't say anything in advance. I would have asked your dad to pick you up. We'll buy some of your favorite dishes. Are you tired from traveling?" My parents saw me from afar. They didn't ask me why I was back or anything else. They just asked me to put my things down, wash my hands, and get ready for a good meal. The tears that I could hold back outside could no longer be stopped. Mom, Dad, I want to rest well. I want to go to the hospital for a full checkup. In my previous life, I committed suicide after getting depression. In this life, I cherish my healthy body even more. The first thing I did when I got home was to go to the hospital for a full checkup. After going back and forth a few times, I looked at the abnormal results and my face darkened. After further tests, I took my checkup reports and went out. When I came back, I gave my parents a hug, and a smile appeared on my face. Mom, Dad, let's go to Dalian as a family. They looked at me blankly, not quite understanding. Early the next morning, my family boarded a plane to Dalian. The money I had saved from drawing commissions over the years was for this moment. Feeling the sea breeze, the depression in my heart was swept away. Mom, let's try the sea cucumber rice for lunch. I also want to eat seaweed buns. Looking at the silver sand beach under the sunset, I closed my eyes in the sea breeze, smiling as I held my parents' hands. My mom handed me a light coat and a snack. The sweet and sour pork had a sharp vinegar scent, but it was really delicious. The food recommended online was also good. Walking by the sea, I happily listened to my parents' everyday conversation. I just felt that the world was peaceful. Without burdens weighing me down, this was the most relaxed I had ever been. Ryan seemed to have many questions to ask me. He called and texted me again and again. It was so annoying that I had to answer the phone. His voice on the other end was yelling, "Ashley, what did you do? Do you want to kill Sophia? You wait, I'm not finished with you." That last line should have been mine to say. I smiled slightly, and then I decisively put down the phone and opened my social media. The moment I had answered his phone call, I knew that my gift had arrived. The moment I opened it, countless messages popped up. But this time they weren't cursing me, but they were all crazily criticizing Sophia. My final and perfect edit had finally taken effect. Something had happened to Sophia. Her work had been reported by many for plagiarism, directly exposed, and she was disqualified from the competition. When this news came out, everyone was shocked. Looking at the official evidence that had been released, some people couldn't sit still. It was the same group of classmates, but this time they were cursing someone else. What a talented woman. Her entry was pieced together by stealing a bit from here and a bit from there. Who taught you to be so shameless and copy whatever you wanted? It's really difficult for you to copy so many famous artists. You can still perfectly integrate them. I'm impressed. A human-shaped AI. A perfect Frankenstein's monster. You were so proud when you talked about your work, but now that something has happened, you can't even utter a fart. I'm so done with you. And this was the person that squeezed Ashley out and disgraced our school? Ashley is so tragic. I'm starting to feel sorry for her. How could she have ever needed to plagiarize from someone like this? Looking at these comments, I burst out laughing in bed. Sophia's account had been blacked out. Ryan had tried to say a few words to defend her, but not only did he fail, he was also severely ridiculed. This time, let her taste the bitterness. My childhood friend stood in my house and looked me up and down, her face full of suspicion. Are you saying that your classmate is so magical that she knows everything you think? Even what you're going to draw, she knows? After getting an affirmative answer, she rubbed her chin, her brow furrowed. That's not right. It's the 21st century. Something must be wrong. Take me to your room and I'll take a look. My sixth sense is super good, trust me. After walking around my room, she clicked her tongue twice. After searching, she had found nothing. She even bent over to look under the bed and along the wall seams, still confused. That's so weird, I don't see anything. But I always feel like I'm being watched. Her gaze swept over the area directly facing my desk. My friend looked at the backpack that I habitually hung on the cabinet for a few more moments. Ashley, do you always hang your backpack there? After hearing my answer, she took off the doll that was hanging on my bag. After a few seconds, she handed the doll to me and told me to touch it. Look, there's something in here. I paused as I felt the tiny camera inside. Ryan had randomly given me this doll when we first started dating. I never thought that he would have already targeted me then. Phew. Calculated that way, this camera had been with me since I started dating him. No wonder Sophia had my drafts and knew every move I made. My friend urged me to call the police. I held her back and told her to keep this a secret from my parents for now. Don't rush. Let's wait a little longer. If there's any new progress, I'll tell you. I wanted to wait a little longer. Ryan and Sophia had broken up. After being accused of plagiarism, Sophia couldn't take the blow and blamed it all on Ryan. She cried to the camera. It was Ryan who wanted me to do this. I told him not to, but he forced me. And this picture wasn't my original one. He told me to plagiarize Ashley's work. Who would have known that Ashley wouldn't have any real skills, so... No matter how much he tried to be a simp, Ryan couldn't take this kind of dirty water and slander. He tried to explain with a red face, but Sophia stopped him without a second thought. Your face isn't more important than mine. Shut up. Unfortunately, the classmates weren't stupid. This time, no one helped Sophia when she spoke. Even Sophia was met with glares and disdain wherever she went. In just a few days, she couldn't stand the feeling of being trampled underfoot. And she could only vent her anger on Ryan. Ryan, you're just a dog that I've been raising. You only know how to stick to me and you're useless. And wasn't it you who said that Ashley was good at drawing? You went to approach her for me, but what was the result? What kind of man are you? When you drugged Ashley, didn't you say that I would definitely win first place in this competition? You're even worse than a dog. You. A heavy slap landed on Sophia's face. She looked at Ryan in disbelief, not believing that he would hit her. You're crazy. Ah. As soon as Sophia opened her mouth, she received another slap. Ryan's eyes were bloodshot. Looking at the Sophia before him, he was grinding his teeth in anger. Shut up. If you weren't so high profile, how would Ashley have found out? You idiot. Don't mention the drugging. Who was I doing it for? Sophia, do you have any conscience? The biggest secret had been revealed, and Ryan shouted angrily in a low voice. Sophia was slapped twice. Unable to bear the grievance, she broke down in tears and said she was breaking up with Ryan. Ryan panicked. His eyes widened and his eyeballs were all bloodshot. He shouted out loud, "You can forget about it. I'm going to be tied to you for the rest of my life." When I came to find Ryan with the police, he and Sophia were fighting. Their strengths were vastly different. In front of us, Sophia was kicked down the stairs by him. I and you. Ah! Seeing Sophia fall to the ground and not move, Ryan's face turned pale. Cold sweat started to break out on his forehead, but before he could react, he made eye contact with us. Seeing the police behind me, Ryan collapsed on the ground. Watching him being taken away in the police car, I finally felt at peace. It turned out that my depression in my previous life didn't come out of nowhere. Whenever there was an opportunity, Ryan would give me medication for depression. How could a normal person take this kind of medication? When I found out the problem during my medical exam this time, I vaguely sensed that something was wrong. This time I finally heard it with my own ears. Apart from these things, there was also the matter of him installing a hidden camera, which I hadn't even dealt with yet. In the beginning, it was also because Ryan and Sophia had seen my talent. They approached me wanting to pave the way for Sophia. After I reported it to the police, I found out that Ryan had been posting my work on foreign websites. The reason they did all of that in my previous life was to make sure that I would never be able to draw again. Being sent away in separate ambulances and police cars, Ryan's eyes were full of hatred. Seeing that look, my heart skipped a beat. I immediately said to the police, I refused to settle. I just want him to eat the government's rice. I was in an excellent mood as I listened to Ryan's curses. Sophia had injured her spine and legs. After recovering, she walked with a limp that looked a bit comical. This was permanent and she would never get better. Unable to take the blow, Sophia was expelled from the school. She became a bit crazy and ended up in a mental hospital. Ryan was also expelled from the school. The fact that he had drugged me and secretly installed a hidden camera was also posted online, which cleared my name. I would not have to see him for at least a few years. It was only right that he ate the government's rice. There was a competition every year, but there was no medicine for regret in life. In this life, I had successfully escaped my previous destiny. At the end of the year, my first art book was successfully published. I focused all my efforts on my studies, In the second year, I entered the competition again. This time I won first place. Standing on the podium, I thought of Sophia for the last time. A good family education and environment had given her a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It had also made it hard for her to resist temptation. The further she went, the more she wobbled. Without enough support, her ending would still be the same: to fall from a height and be shattered into pieces. Looking at my family and friends beside me, I lifted my head slightly. Today it was another good day.